Okay, good morning everyone. In this video, I will discuss to you about the data management, basic concept of statistics and definitions, and later part, it also includes the graph of a given data, the qualitative and then the quantitative data. So let us first define what statistics is. Statistics, it involves the use of scientific methods and techniques in collecting, presenting, organizing, analyzing, and interpreting numerical figures. Okay, so one of the most example of this statistic is the census population and housing. So in census population and housing, di ba sa census, some of the enumerators yung tawag doon sa nagko-collect ng data, yung pumupunta sa bahay. So we have this enumerator that that collects the data. They collected the data, they gathered, and after that, ibinibigay na nila yun sa kanilang leader, and then ina-analyze, and then after that, ibibigay na ulit doon sa Philippine Statistics Authority. And in collecting data, not actually in census, hindi siya actually, you just know the number of member in each household. Actually, the census is um, very critical because it involves the work of each member of the household kung nagtatrabaho na ba yun. And in collecting the data of that census population, it is not actually you just gather the data and after that wala nang gagawin. No. After you collect the data, you just analyze it. You just present, organize, and analyze it and interpret the numerical figures. Interpret with it numerical figures. So that is the meaning of the statistics. Okay. Collecting, presenting, organizing, analyzing, and interpreting numerical figures. Okay. So let us have the some of the definition or some of the basic concept and definitions or terms before we study the statistics. So kailangan natin alamin muna yung mga terms na yun. Okay. So first is the variable. So what do we mean by a variable? Variable, it is differentiating property of subjects or respondents that vary from one situation to another. So, example of variable are gender. So if you have gender, male and female, religion, salary, socioeconomic status. So this variable actually differentiating property of subject or respondents. For example, ano ba yung magiging variable natin? The independent and then the dependent variable. So there are two classifications of variable. So we have here the qualitative variables and then the other one is the quantitative. But before that, let us um let us first discuss the qualitative variables. So when we say qualitative, because of the word quality, so syempre, pag sinabi natin quality, it is not pertaining to a number. It is pertaining to behavior or attitude of one person, for example. And it cannot be measured numerically. So sabi ko nga, it is not pertaining to a number because this is, ang pinag-uusapan natin dito ay qualitative variable. So it is just simply express a characteristics, sometimes a behavior or attitude. Okay, so let's have some example of a qualitative variables. So kapag sinabi natin qualitative variables, we have religion, zip code, gender, student number, plate number, political affiliation. So, it is not pertaining to magka-count kayo It is not pertaining to a number. It is not pertaining to just that involves a volume or a number or a mass. So religion, you have what kind of religion are the people belong, gender, your female or your male, political affiliation, zip code, student number, and then the plate number. So when we say student number or plate number, it is not actually since meron ditong number nakalagay, hindi siya actually bakit sinabing qualitative pero may number? No, because student number, it pertains only to one person. So hindi naman siya kinakount. You just have your own unique student number. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng qualitative variables. And the other variable is the quantitative variables. So when we say quantitative variable, it is the amount or values that can be counted or measured and analyzed using the four fundamental operations. So ito, since this is quantitative, so quantitative, it it is used the four fundamental operations. So number na yung pinag-uusapan. So there are two classifications of a quantitative variables, the discrete variable and then the continuous variable. So what is the difference between the discrete variable and then the continuous variable? So discrete variable, it can be measured or it can be counted numerically. Hence, it takes a whole number value only. So hindi dito yung may mga decimal, hindi dito includes yung mga fractions because it's stated there that it can be counted numerically. Kahit na gamitin mo lang yung kamay mo sa pagbilang. And yung sagot lang dito is just a whole number. So for example, the number of errors in a final exam. So, di ba, kapag halimbawa, especially when the type of the exam is a multiple choice, wala naman doon 1/2, wala naman doon 0.5 and so on. So, the number of error is just a whole number. And of course, the number of siblings. So, whole number lang siya. And let us discuss what continuous variable is. So when we say continuous variable, it measured on scale, can be expressed in fractions, decimals, integers, or percent. So it can be measured on scale, can be expressed in a fraction, decimal, integers, or percent. So ito na yung kabaliktaran ni discrete variable. So kung sa discrete variable, lahat lang is whole number, dito sa continuous variable, is pwede na yung fractions, decimals, integers, or percent. And dito sa continuous variable, sometimes ginagamitan siya ng mga measuring instrument. Like for example, when you are going to find the volume, when you are going to find the acceleration, when you are going to find the length of a given object. So, ginagamitan siya ng mga measuring instrument. So, example of a continuous variable are volume of grape juice in a Tetra Pak. So, you cannot measure the volume of a grape juice. Just look at. Because doon sa Tetra Pak, meron tayong mga nakalagay kung ilang ml ba yun. Tama? And the acceleration, as I said a while ago. Okay, so yun yung difference ni discrete variable and then ni continuous variable. Number 2, it is any characteristics or value or information about the variable. Example, the test scores, and then the differences in responses, or the yes or no question, or the open-ended questions. So you just, observation is just characteristics, a value or information about the variable. So what, how, when, where. So it answer the questions. Kung ano ba yun, bakit ganun. Okay. So yun yung ibig sabihin ng observation. And next is the data. So, syempre, data is um, one of the term that you will encounter again and again and again. Paulit-ulit siya. So, when we say data, it refers to the set of observations gathered from subject or respondent. So, yun yung mga observation na nag-gather natin sa respondent, kung sino man yung respondent natin. For example, um, we need to gather the age of of the we need to gather the age of the first year, the age of the first year in Sorsogon College of Criminology. So, ano ba yung mga age ng first year ba yun? Then, my respondent is all the first year in SCCI. So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng data. Example, your opinion, number of students vaccinated. So, yun yung mga example niya. Another example, age of the students, height and weight of the students. So, we need to get the data of that, of our respondent. Kung sino man yung respondent natin. Next is the indicator. So, when we say indicator, these are the data that directly measure the variables being studied. Example, the school's division superintendent wants to know if the feeding program implemented among the elementary schools last year has been successful. So the indicator here is to measure the success of the program are the weights and heights are the weights and heights of the pupils before and after the feeding program. Kasi nga, since it determined the feeding program, since the school division superintendent wants to know if the feeding program implemented has been successful. So, kailangan natin alamin kung yung weights ba nila and then heights ba nila is nag-improve. So, from before, for example, your weight is just 32 kilogram, and after the feeding program, bumigat yung weight ng isang pupil. So, meaning to say that the indicator here is to measure the success of the program, yung weights, and then the heights of the pupil. So, yun ibig sabihin ng indicator. And let us first let us define what population and sample is. So when we say population, this is the group of all the individuals, subjects, or objects considered in the study. So as you can see in the diagram, population, we have here the population, and to get the sample, we just pick just a simple, or we just pick number of sample in the population, number of person in the population. So we have here our sample here, we just pick this one, and yan na yung magiging sample natin. So the definition for that is population. This is the group of all individuals. This is the group of all individuals, subjects, or objects considered in the study. Any large collection of objects or individuals. Example, weather patterns monitored within a period of time, college students, registered voters. So college students, registered voters, they are some example of a population. And pag sinabi naman nating sample, this is just a representative portion taken from the population where data is actually taken. So, example, freshman students. So, from college students, di ba meron tayo first year, second year, third year, and fourth year. And sometimes meron pang fifth year. So, in a sample, we just get the first year students. So, we have freshman students. and another male or female registered voters. So if our respondent is only the female, then that is our sample. And kung male naman yung respondent natin, then yun, sample natin yun sa registered voters. So yun yung ibig sabihin ng population and then sample. Okay. So let us, another one is the perimeters and then the statistics. So parameters, it is actually in the population side, and then the statistics is actually in the sample side. So these are the attributes or properties that are common for every member in a population. Any summary number like an average of percentage that describes the entire population. So basta pag parameters sa population siya. Example, the average age of 5,000 college students who took the NC2 is 18 years old. So we have population natin is the college students who took the NC2. And our parameter here, N, which is represent the population, is equal to 5,000. And average age is 18 years old. So, yun yung magiging parameters natin. So, from the 5,000 college students, o lahat yun, kabuuan yun, the average age is 18 years old. Okay, so yun yung ibig sabihin ng parameters. How about the statistics? So, sabi ko kanina, statistics is nasa sample side. So, these are the attributes or properties that are common for every member in a sample. So, ito naman, in a population. So, ito, in a sample. Any summary number like an average or percentage that describes the sample. So, example, of the 5,000 college students who took the NC2, 3,000 students are male. Therefore, the average age of the male students, so we have, is 17 years old. Okay. So, 17 years old. And our sample, male students who took the NC2. So, from the population, college students. Tama? And from the sample, we get only the male students. And our statistic here is, ilan yung male students? We have 3,000. And di ba yung kabuuang population is 5,000. So, the average age for male students who took the NC2 is 17 years old. So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng parameters and statistics. So, parameters is from the population, statistics is from the sample. So, we have the univariate analysis and then the bivariate analysis. So, what is the difference between them? Univariate analysis, this is the simplest form of data analysis involving only one variable. Because sometimes, sa research baga natin, kadalasan there are two variables involved. Pero pag sinabi natin univariate analysis, it is just involve only one variable. While the bivariate analysis, it is form of data analysis involving two variables. It is used to explain the relationship or differences between two variables. So this is actually two. Okay. So we have the univariate analysis and then the bivariate analysis. So ito, just a simple one variable, and ito naman, it explains the relationship between two variables. So for example, what is the relationship of the behavior of the students to, or I mean, what is the relationship of their academic status to their to the behavior of the students. So yun yung, so the two variables here is the academic status and then the behavior of the student. So the difference between two variables. So example in univariate, the height of the individual. So you just only one variable. Mean age of freshman students. So one variable lang siya. And in the bivariate analysis, the height and weight. So what is the relationship between height and weight of the freshman students? The number of signage and accidents. So ano yung relationship ng number of signage and the number of accidents in the whole month, for example. So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng variate analysis. So, variate analysis, two variables, we have height and weight, while the univariate analysis, only one variable. So, ito age lang ng freshman students. Ito naman is height of the individual. Okay? So, let us answer the activity 1, basic concept in statistics and definitions. Okay. So let's move to data management, describing data with graphs. So describing data with graphs, we have different graphs as we go back to our previous grades. I know that lahat kayo is na encounter na yung mga word na to, yung mga graph na to. So let us first define what graph or charts is. It is a statistical device that presents quantitative and qualitative data. So it simplifies and analyzes significant details about important aspects and implications of data it is representing. So we need to graph, di ba? As we go back to the definition of statistics, so di ba yung statistics is we collect the data, present the data, organize the data, analyze the data, and then interpret the data. So one of the statistical device that present the data is the graph or charts. So as you conduct a research, gagawin nyo to. So it facilitates better interpretation and analysis by bringing out hidden facts and relationships between among variables under study. So, kapag gumagamit tayo ng mga graph or charts, mas maiintindihan, mas malilinawan tayo, ganito pala. For example, yung cost ng vegetables in a period of month, and then yung ano ba yung cost niya for in a period of in 1 year. For example, January, yung cost ba niya is tumaas until December, or yung cost ba ng vegetables and fruits is bumababa. So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng graph and charts na yun. So, we present the given data that we collected. So, it facilitates better interpretation and analysis by bringing out hidden facts and relationships between among variables under study. Guidelines in describing data using graph or charts. So first, it must be accurate. So dapat yung data natin should be accurate. Hindi yung nag-gather tayo ng data, then after that, hindi naman pala siya accurate doon. So, meaning, babalik tayo. We collect another set of data. And it should be clear and unambiguous so that the charts and graphs are easy to read and understand. So, hindi basta-basta yung paggawa ng graph. So, dapat clear siya. So, dapat meron siyang legend. Kung kailangan ng legend, lagyan ng legend. Para mas maintindihan at para mas madali nating mabasa yung graph na yun. So, halimbawa kung magbibigay ka lang ng isang graph na wala man lang label, maiintindihan mo ba yun? Syempre, hindi. So, we need to be clear and unambiguous so that yung chart and then yung graph na na ipinipresent natin are easy to read and understand. So, dapat ayos yung graph na ginagawa natin. And number 3, it should be simple and uncomplicated. So, dapat kapag gumagawa tayo ng graph, hindi yung paikot-ikot, hindi yung ang daming kolorete na inilalagay. It should be simple and dapat hindi siya complicated. Okay? And number 4, it is attractive, neat, appealing with a professional look. Okay, so when we say attractive, not actually na yung attractive is very colorful na. No. Dapat meron pa rin siyang professional look. Because when you conduct a research, gagawa kayo ng graph. Hindi yun na sa isang bar, color red, another one is color yellow. Dapat it should be with a professional look. Kailangan na kapag tiningnan natin yung graph na ginawa natin is just mapabasa natin, maiintindihan natin agad-agad. Hindi yun na ang sakit-sakit sa mata because of the color na ginamit ninyo. So, it should be neat and appealing. And of course, always remember that the graph should be with a professional look. Hindi yun na basta-basta lang. And for example, when you are going to use a pie graph, dapat meron siyang nakalagay kung ilan ba yung bakit masyadong malaki yung graph na masyado tong malaki because of the percentage. So, para mas maintindihan natin, pwede natin siyang lagyan ng automatic na percentage. Because kung pie graph lang na wala tayong nilagay na percentage, we cannot estimate that. Ilan ba to? Bakit ganito? Bakit medyo maliit? So, ilan ba yun? So, dapat when we describe or when we create a graph or charts, it should be simple, attractive, accurate, clear, and ambiguous, appealing, with a professional look. So, yun yung guidelines natin in describing data using graph or charts. Just only use one color for each graph. Maliban na lang sa pie graph because sa pie graph hindi pwede natin gumamit ng one color. So we need to use different colors in pie graph. And I will give an example later. So let us first describe what bar graph is. So it is constructed to compare data sizes and frequencies. It consists of rectangular bars of equal widths aligned horizontally and vertically. Example. So, ito yung example ng bar graph natin. So, in this portion, title, ano yung title ng graph? And we have we have the horizontal and then the vertical. So, sa horizontal natin, kailangan natin lagyan ng label yan. Ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng mga numbers na to? So, we have here the number of enrollees. And for the vertical side is we have here the year level. So, kailangan natin lagyan ng level for each graph para mas maintindihan natin. So, as you can see, this is just a simple bar graph. So, we have here, in level 1, we can conclude that there are 250 students enrolled in first year. In second year, level 2, there are 200 students or 200 number of enrollees. So, mababasa natin because of these implications. Because of these indicators. So, level 3, you have approximately, for example, this is 215. So, you can determine that and so on. Next is the pie chart. So, pie chart, this statistical device shows the part or division that categories to the whole number. Example, so again, enrollees per year level. So we have, meron akong nilagay dito. For level 6, 150. So meaning to say, since this is green, so ito yung graph niya. So level 1, 250. So medyo malaki siya kaysa sa level 6. And level 3, we have here 220 and so on. So just this a simple pie chart. And next is the line graph. So this is a graphical device that is effective in showing a trend over a period of time. So ito yung sasabi ko sa inyo na kung bababa yung cost ng vegetables and fruits for the whole year or tataas ba siya from January to December. It is also a useful tool in showing the relationship between two or more sets of data. Example. So, we use again the enrollees per year level. So, kailangan pa rin ng title. We have here the indicators, year level, and then the number of enrollees. And using a line graph, which is graph, kung saan siya nakatutok. So, for example, here, 250, level 1, and so on. So, as you can see the trend, from level 1, bumaba, then tumaas ulit, then bumaba, hanggang sa mag-level 6 na is pababa siya ng pababa. So, yun yung line graph. And number 4 is the pictograph. You can use pictograph. So, meaning to say that is pictures because of the word picto. So, pictures. Pinag-usapan. So, this graphical representation of data uses symbols or pictures that represent a standard value. So, example, enrollees per year level. So, you have level 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, there are 5 smileys. So, ito yung nirepresent natin. So, dapat sa pictograph, meron tayong nilalagay na legend. So, ano ba yung nire-represent ng each smiley emoji na to? So, each smiley emoji is represented as 50 enrollees. So, meaning to say, 50 times 5. So, this is actually 250. And since 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 times 50, you have 200 students, enrollees, and so on. So, sa pictograph, do not forget the legend of your pictures. So, any pictures na nagre-represent ng standard value na yan. So, pwede natin ditong flowers, for example. Pwede rin namang shapes, and so on. Kayo bahala. And the stem and leaf plots. So, hindi masyado tong ginagamit, pero pwede rin naman siyang gamitin as long as you understand your given data. So, this kind of graph represents the data using actual numerical values of each data point. So, the following data are the result of mathematical examination of 50 students. So, we have 32 until 97. So, these are the result of a mathematical examination of 50 students. So, 50 yung student na to. So, each of them got a result of, got the score in mathematical examination. So, using this stem and leaf plots for mathematical examination, so we have 3, ganito yung itsura niya. We need to draw a column here, a line here. So, kukunin lang natin is the first digit, the tens digit. So, you have 3, 3, 3. So, you can see hanggang sa 9. So, ilan ba yung nakakuha na may tens digit na 3? So, you have 32, 35, 35, tatlo. So, we have 2. We just write the ones digit of the number. So, you have 2, 5, and 5 because 32, 35, 35. And for 4, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, it has 6 units digit. So, sa 4, isa lang syempre. 2, 42, 45, 45, 45, 48, and 49. So, yun yung stem and leaf plot for mathematics students. Mathematics examination. So, ito yung stem natin at yung plot leaf natin is ito. The ones digit. So, ganun yung Yan yung ibig sabihin ng stem and leaf plot na chart. And the graphs, and yun yung graph for quantitative data. And how about the graph for qualitative data? So, since most qualitative data can be counted, the pie charts and bar graphs are the most functional and appropriate graphical device to be used in displaying the information generated from this data. So, we have pie charts and bar graph. Yun yung most functional and appropriate graphical device data in qualitative data. So, example, the teacher identified the religious affiliation of the 400 students. So, ito yung table. So, ito yung religion, frequency, meaning to say, ilan ba yung student na may religion na Roman Catholic. And the relative frequency, you just divide it by the total number of students. Then, ilan ba? Yun. And to get the percent, you just multiply 6.5 by 100. And to get the angle, you just multiply, convert this into decimal, 0.65, and multiply it by 360. And we get the angle. Okay. So, in 7th day of Adventist, the number of students is 93. So, there are 93 students whose religion is 7th day Adventist. And 93 divided by 400 is 0.23. Then 0.23 times 100, we have 23% to get the percent. And if you convert 23% to decimal, you have 0.23 times 360. So this is 82.8 and so on. So let us use the pie graph for students' religious affiliation. So for Roman Catholic, meron siyang 65%. So 65% to, we have here the blue shaded. This is the Roman Catholic. And for the Seventh Day Adventist, we have the orange. And Iglesia ni Cristo, we have the gray. Because as we go back to the table, Iglesia ni Cristo got only 3%, meaning to say 12 students lang yung may religion na Iglesia ni Cristo. And for Born Again Christian, we have the yellow shaded, which is only 9% of 400. So this is 35 students. Okay. And for bar graphs for students' religious affiliation, so we just use the indicator, the religion, and then the frequency, the number of students. So for Roman Catholic, we have here, these are the religion. So we need to label it religion. And the frequency, these are the number of students. So these are the number of these are the number of students. Okay. So, in Roman Catholic, you have 260. So, as you can see, meron siyang 260 dyan. 260. And Seventh-day Adventist, you have 93 students. And Iglesia ni Cristo, you have 12 students. And Born Again Christian, you have 35 students. So, this is how we graph the qualitative data. So, the most common graph or charts that we use in qualitative data are the bar graph and then the pie charts. While in quantitative data, we can use pie graph, stem and leaf, pie chart, bar graph, pictograph, and then the line graph. So, yun yung pwede natin gamitin. Okay, now, so you may now answer the activity 2, describing data with graph. Thank you, and God bless.